So good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, please share my slides. Right now, in coming 30-40 minutes, we are going to get introduction about early signs of autism and hyperactivity disorder in toddlers. And usually when these kids are coming for infant assessment, that is the time where we can, pick up some of the symptoms and some of the signs, and parental interview also gives us some guideline about child's behavior at home. And this is how we can understand. Next. Miss करू का इकडून? काहीतरी होत नाही. Yeah, so usually what is the parental concerns? They usually will report as my child does not speak like other kids of his age. Maybe the child with autism, sometimes they are completely non-verbal and then just cueing or some syllables they are able to, but speech as such means meaningful use of word is not seen by parents. And this is how they say that my child is not speaking, and he is very moody. Sometimes they will say excessive cry on the part of child, or laughing without any reason can make them think like that he is very moody and he doesn't respond when we call him by his name. Then they will justify it, this behavior is justified as he's so moody and he's so engrossed and he's so playful that even if we are calling him 10 times, he will never look at you. But actually the child is not responding to his name. That's the basic reason. And parents' concern is like that, he is not responding to name, indicate his own needs, though he generally does not communicate. So what do they say? He knows everything. He understands everything. He wants water, then he will pull us, or he will drag me to the kitchen, and he will put my hand on the glass and then water, and then he will ask for that. So they can indicate their needs. So parents, they think that they understand everything, but they are not communicating. He likes to jump, run around, run in circles. This is kind of a stereotypical behavior, but described by parents like that. He's so active. He likes to jump and he will run in room and he will touch this wall and then that wall and in opposite wall. And he does that for many minutes, means half an hour or 1 full hour. Child is running here and there. He always arranges his toys in line. So this is very peculiar behavior on child's part. Whatever things they are handling, usually they love to make a line of these toys. Means there are cars or there are blocks or whatever. So they want to make a line. This is again stereotypical behavior. He prefers to play alone, does not play with kids. This is another thing. So usually at the age of ह्यालाच बोलवायला पाहिजे, काहीतरी गंमत झाली. घनश्याम.
And now we can hear you.
Yeah. But I can't see my slide. So he prefers to play alone, does not play with kids. Means what? Parallel play is usually a child is involved in at this age. Means child is aware that there is another baby in my room and he is also playing and I am also playing. So accompanying person and acceptance for that kid with him, or sometimes they will exchange the toys and they will play with other boys. So toddlers usually they show some interest in other kids if they are playing together, or maybe it can be a solo play. But there is an interest in other kids, so which is not seen in toddlers with signs of autism. So what is our observation in our clinical setup? When child is coming to us for DASI assessment or for any kind of assessment, they will not respond to the name. They are so self-engrossed that they actually make themselves very, very busy in manipulating and cueing or maybe humming, sometimes singing. But they are not aware of surroundings. Usually child will show some interest in strange situations, strange people around, or maybe things in room, but this child will completely engrossed in his self play, playing with hands, playing with one particular toy or something like that. Then stereotypical activities and play is also sometimes observed, because usually what happens in first sitting of assessment, in DQ assessment, usually these children are not cooperative. So we call them for 3 times, 4 times observation, and we observe their behavior, we observe their communication style, maybe socialization and all. And then this allows us an opportunity to observe their stereotypical activities and play. So then parental interview also can help us to understand what is the preference for food, preference for clothes, preference for certain play material. Is there any sensory issues involved? So these are the things which actually our observation in clinical setups, they are actually red markers for this autism. Poor eye contact is another very prominent sign which is even displayed by kids. I remember one child who was 10 months old only, and that time 10 months is too young to to have even query about autism. But then we called him for monthly observation, and unfortunately that child turned out to be completely with severe autism at the age of 2 years. So usually poor eye contact and no social smile, not cooperative during testing. They are self-engrossed. They are not interested in toy material. They are not interested in interactions with the tester. And this is how we can make that the child is showing some symptoms of autism. They are not interested in human communication. That's why it is very difficult to establish rapport with them. Usually we can have eye contact, we can talk with baby, we can increase, we can arouse their attention. Sometimes even these babies, they also have problem with attention. So during initial 5 minutes or 10 minutes, we can establish rapport with any other baby. But especially the kids with autism, it is very difficult to establish rapport because they can't relate with other people, surrounding and other people. They are not interested in human communication sometimes. There is no eye contact. So how to relate with the child? Because as we know that any assessment is a guided activity for on the part of therapist or on the part of clinician. So these kids are more interested in selected toys. For example, they will not perform on the TASI, I'm saying. They will not perform on any verbal attempts. But on the contrary, they will do boards attempts very fast. They are more interested in placing the blocks in the slots, or maybe placing pegs. But if we ask them, Ki, what is this on the picture card, usually they will not see, they will not look. Sometimes they close their eyes and they say, means they show the resistance to have any communication on verbal attempts. Let us see what are the social deficits, because as we know, the autism, it is listed in DSM-5, and it says 5 and 4 also, and it says there are basically social communication is a problem, and another problem is stereotypical behavior. So what are the social deficits in these kids? They a child doesn't keep eye contact or make very little eye contact. So eye contact is a very prominent feature. Then doesn't respond to a parent's smile or other facial expressions. Usually parent and child dialogue or maybe communication starts as early as 4 months and 5 months, this thing. Sometimes what happens, these kids are normal till maybe 18 months or so, and gradually they leave one by one all these features, that smile to the parent's face, or showing some excitement, showing some emotional expressions. So usually they say कि पहले तो सब करता था लेकिन अभी अभी वो कुछ नहीं कर रहा है, बात नहीं कर रहा है, बात करना भी छोड़ दिया. He used to speak some words, but now he has left, that habit of asking food or asking for water with words. So sometimes these features are also seen in some kids. doesn't look at object or events a parent is looking at or pointing to. Usually it is shared attention or joint attention. Suppose something is happening in the room and everybody is looking at that event or some happening or maybe sound, whatever. But this child is so engrossed in his own world that he doesn't have any interest or awareness, I will say, to take cognizance of what is happening around him. So doesn't bring object or of personal interest to show to parents. Sometimes what happens, children, they are very interested in very small kind of suppose a child is finding some bead, very colorful bead. He will take that bead to show to his mama, that mama, look what is I am having in my hand. So this kind of sharing and this kind of taking interest is not seen in these kids. Doesn't often have appropriate facial expressions. That is another very prominent, feature of this. That everybody is smiling, but this child will never understand that there is something to show pleasure. So inappropriate facial expressions are always seen on the face of these children, unable to perceive what others might be thinking or feeling by looking at their facial expressions. As all we know that child is aware of emotional expressions. Even 9-month-old child can make whether mother is happy or not happy. If mother is crying, then he will show some discomfort on his face. But in case of autism, toddlers in autism, they will not, show this kind of expressions, that they have understood the disturbance on mother's part and something like that. Doesn't show concern or we can say empathy for others. For example, a 1.5-year-old child will show some discomfort if there is a small baby who is crying in the hall or maybe next to him. But this child will keep himself busy in his play and all, and he will not bothered for whatever is happening to the child. Unable to make friends or is uninterested in making friends. This actually comes little later at the age of 3.5, where child social development actually starts. Begins at that age. But before that, prerequisite of that is child is taking interest if other children are playing around him. And that interest actually usually shown by a child who is 1 year old or who's maybe 1.5 year old. So interest usually is not seen in these kids. What are the communication deficits in toddlers? Doesn't point at things to show need or share things with others. They can't point. Usually they will drag an adult individual to ask for something or to indicate their need. Doesn't say single words by 16 months of age. Usually a child is able to say dada, mama, baba, and it is meaningful. But these kids will never say that. Repeats exactly what others say without understanding the meaning, and often called parroting or echoing. If we say what is this, then they will say what is this, but they don't understand that adult person is asking me something and I am supposed to respond to it. So usually this echolalia is very prominent feature when it comes to their speech and language development. It doesn't respond to name by call, but does respond to other sounds. Means this child is not having any problem in hearing as such. But he's not listening that and he's not responding. But on the contrary, child is able to say many things, many jingles or maybe many advertisement. I have seen some kids, they can, sing a whole song. I know one girl who used to say one Ram Raksha, that's the one religious this thing. And she used to say that without any mistake. But communication on the part of asking for need or sharing was not there. Refers to self as you and others as I, because I say ki, I am coming to you, then in his point of view, he will say, I will give you water. So I means you and you means you. You means I, like that. So they don't understand, and they usually think in third person. So if a child's name is Vihan, so he will say, Vihan wants water, Vihan water, Vihan toilet, like that. If a child is verbal and if he is able to, express their needs, but he will not say, Ki, I want water. So that's the problem in their language, and using pronouns often doesn't seem to want to communicate. As far as possible, these bachos will, avoid to communicate because it's a problem in socialization, because it's a problem in communication, because they don't want to relate with others around. That's why they don't take any initiative to continue conversation, or they don't want to communicate. Need-based communication is very prominent feature. Uh, doesn't use toys or other objects to represent people or real life in pretend play. Like sometimes there is a cup and there is a spoon. So child will imitate that he's eating something, but these kids will fail to pretend like that. They will use these objects for manipulation. Most of the time I have seen that they are more interested in blocks. They will manipulate, they will chew, they will smell, they will bang those, and they will try to make some sounds out of these toys and everything. Another thing is they may have a good rote memory, especially for numbers, letters. They can, this is for, again, I will say this is 3+ age of a child. They are able to make long spellings. They can pronounce that, but they don't understand the meaning of that. So may lose language or other social milestones usually between the age of 15 and 24 months. Mostly parents will report you that we have to take very detailed interview of parents to understand what used to happen, means pre-morbid, before the onset of this. What was the child's behavior, what was his language, what was his understanding, what were his habits. So you need to understand all this through a clinical interview with the parents. That is most important. We just can't go hurriedly for any kind of diagnosis or even risk of ASD unless and until you have very detailed interview with parents. Then what is the behavior deficits in case of this thing, autistic babies? Rocks and spins and sways and drills, fingers, hand flapping. These are very stereotypical kind of a behavior. And you will see these kids are walking on toes, or they are jumping, but the jumping or maybe spinning, or this is their need. Sometimes this behavior, it helps them to calm themselves. That is also there. They like routine, order and rituals. They are not willing to take any changes. I remember one girl who used to resist to wear raincoat in rainy days because the change of season and change in clothes was not accepted by her. So they like routines. They know sometimes what happens in family situation, achanak kuch to ho jata hai, and then these kids are very, very disturbed because they don't like any change in their routine. Then obsessed with a few unusual activities, doing them repeatedly during the day. That can be their stress reduction strategies, maybe, or calming them their own selves, something like that. But we don't know why they do that, but it's a need and they do it very desperately. Plays with parts of toys instead of the whole toy. For example, many times parent will tell you that he doesn't, play with car like a car, but he likes to play with wheels. And that spinning movement of wheel is more interesting for a child with these features. Doesn't seem to feel pain sometimes, even if they're falling down. There is a, hematoma seen on somebody body part, but child will never show some kind of discomfort because of pain. That is another feature in this case. Maybe very sensitive or not sensitive to, not sensitive at all to smell, sounds, lights, textures, and touch. So oversensitivity or very hypo or hypersensitivity for all these 5 senses is usually seen in children And most common is the fear for cracker, fear for whistle of cooker or mixer or grinder in the kitchen, or some big noise of like a Ganpati festival. Then they are very scared of the sounds and lights and everything. Sometimes textures also. Sometimes some textures are preferred by child and some textures are completely rejected. And that also affects their food habits. For example, some children will prefer always to have very smooth and smooth food as compared to any hard food, like where they are supposed to chew that. So that touch inside the mouth is not accepted or is not tolerable for these kids because they have sensory issues. Or maybe brushing is also another problem for that. Unusual use of vision or gaze. Sometimes they he looks at object from unusual angles, maybe conical vision or something like that, and then they observe that object. That is another feature. So diagnosis of this early diagnosis we don't do, but MCHAT is nowadays given after 18 months of age. Childhood Autism Rating Scale, it's a diagnostic tools, that is CARS. Indian Scale Assessment of Autism, that is ISA. It's again Indianized this thing diagnostic tool for autism. And ADOS is another tool, Autism Diagnostic Observation Schedule. It takes around 2 hours to complete the schedule. But in your clinical setup, and even for toddlers who are having 18 months to 24 months of age, we can go for MCHAT, and it gives us quite a good idea about at what level the child is at risk. If low risk, then there is a scoring is given, and the way you are supposed to ask this question, they have given examples also. It is downloadable, it is on the Google this thing. And there are 3 risk factors they have given. So if a child is having, for example, score, how to score and everything, you have to read nicely. So 3 to 7 means a child is at medium risk for getting diagnosis of autism in future. So MCHAT is like that. And then now let us see what can be the intervention for ASD. So change in handling through parents counseling is most important thing, and I think Bindu has covered everything about how to go counsel, how to counsel these parents who are having children with some kind of disability or some kind of disorder. So change in handling means in joint family, for example, 3 people are handling child in 3 different manner is not done with kids with autism. You have to have unanimous understanding in family members that how we are going to plan his routine, we are going to handle him, what kind of communication, which language. Sometimes exposure to 2-3 languages also can create some problem in child's language and speech development if we are having speech therapy and language therapy for these kids. So change in handling has a very important role in case of intervention for autism. Then screen time control nowadays, and I think this is our collective experience that every practitioner is witnessing that in this COVID, this thing, children are too much exposed for screens, one after another, some tab and then the laptop and then TV and mobile. So this is not done. Minimum screen time, and it has to have very good control of adults. Then structured intervention. When we are going to have this kind of stimulation, SI kab hoga, speech therapy kab hogi. So it can be a structured intervention, planned schedules and everything. Then graded exposure. What is graded exposure? Suppose child is scared for certain events or certain situations. Then we have to plan, we have to tell the child that, okay, we are going out and then we are going to meet one uncle over there, and then we are going to temple, and then there is a bell. So this is greater exposure or planning or proactive psychoeducation on part of parents is very needful, so that child is not scared of new happenings. Child will understand that now there is going to I'm going to have some change in my surroundings. So graded exposures means, again, we have to think how much time child should be exposed in for that particular event or for that particular situation, or for that particular stimuli. So, and then you can gradually go ahead with large amount of exposure. Suddenly बच्चे को उठाया और बाहर लेके गए, and then child is crying a lot, and then it will increase the problem. So this is very important. Again, a speech therapy is essential part. Then SI therapy, sensory integration therapy, then play therapy is all these things are very important. Sometimes in our center, this is we are actually blessed with all this, because speech therapy, SI therapy, play therapy under one roof. So child parents doesn't have to, they don't have to go here and there for different therapies. So therapy to improve social skills, this is again very important, because these kids are lagging behind in their social communication, or they are sometimes not very comfortable with getting related with people around. So that is very important. And applied behavior analysis is for school going children. That is again very important, which covers many things like study skills, reading skills, interpersonal skills, then habit formation, hygiene, toilet training, and everything. So that is for elder children. This is how we can plan for this is possible intervention. And of course, all therapists nowadays can have their innovative ideas to help these kids. So that is no end for this particular intervention. Now let us go for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Again, this disorder is also listed in DSM-4 and 5 and psychiatric diagnostic manual. So clinical presentation, these kids are unable to focus attention. And now one important thing is ADHD and autism, most of the time we will find it overlapping. Many kids are having some features of ADHD and who are also having autism. So sometimes it is the differential diagnosis between these two is sometimes a very important and crucial part on the part of clinician. So these kids are unable to focus their attention. They are very fidgety, very restless. They are easily distracted. Then handling of material is not appropriate. For example, they are interested in manipulation or maybe banging or touching only, but they will never do that. Suppose, for example, I am asking the child to put square in the slot of square. So he will not do that. Instead of that, he will toss that, he will bang that, and he will just manipulate, or he will show more interest in touching only. So unable to follow instructions during assessment because they can't pay more attention more than 3 to 4 seconds. So if I'm giving instruction using long sentences, a child will fail to understand what is being told by the therapist or by the teacher or maybe by the parents also. So they halfway they listen, and that's why they don't understand, they don't learn, and it reflects in their overall behavior. So that's why they cannot complete the task. Most of the time they are easily distractible. And if they are focusing their attention on one job which is given during assessment, within 3 or 4 or 5 seconds, they will get distracted something else, and they will not be able to complete the task. Needs more formal and strict handling. As compared to other kids, I will tell you this because most of the time, usually they listen. to strangers and who are adults. But the kids with ADHD, they are so resistant to follow instructions that they need formal and strict handling. And another thing is that you feel so tired by that time the child is leaving your consulting room after having one ADHD assessment, one DQ assessment of ADHD child. It is really a tiring business, or maybe IQ, for example. So it's very tiring because you really have to put lots of efforts to gather their attention and to make them perform. So most of the time what happens, lack of focus, excessive energy and impulsivity, these are the three features which are commonly seen in all toddlers. So there are chances that misdiagnosis due to this most common behavior of toddlers. We should not miss this ADHD. And that's why we need to have very good observational skills and parental interview also. So being overly fidgety or squirmy, then having an inability to sit still for calm activities like eating or having books read to them. Now for toddlers, we usually don't read books, but they show some interest if we are telling them something, or talking and making noise excessively. These are the characteristics, and we have to take care that we should be able to distinguish normal toddler with all these features and the toddler with ADHD. Impulsivity is one characteristic or one prominent feature of ADHD that is displayed by extreme impatience with others. They are not willing to wait for even a small time, like 3 to 5 seconds. They will keep asking, they will keep banging, they will keep seeking your attention for that, refusing to wait their turn when playing with other children. Or maybe in DQ assessment, I have seen that usually we tell the baby that, wait, I'm going to give you something new to play. And child has to play for, child has to wait for 3 seconds, 5 seconds, sometimes maybe 20 seconds. Till that time, I get the new toy material for the child, and children keep waiting. But in case of ADHD children, they are so impulsive, they are unable to wait. They will climb on the table, they will try to run here and there in between. So interrupting when others are talking, that is again very common this thing, and this is impulsivity. They just can't have control on their impulses. That's the problem. Blurting out comments at inappropriate times, having difficulty controlling their emotions, excessive cry sometimes, or maybe laughter, or maybe continuous communication, continuous need to talk is also a very common this thing. And that is impulsive talk. They can't stop. Being prone to outburst, head banging sometimes, or throwing tantrums, that is very commonly seen in toddlers, including when others are playing rather than asking first to join in. That is expected by little elder children, maybe at socialization level at 3 years or so. Then what is the diagnosis for this ADHD preschoolers? It's a scale which is usually used for 3 to 5 years of age, and corners starts after 5 years. And what is the possible intervention for ADHD? Change in handling through parent counseling again, because sometimes what happens, parents they're fed up with child's behavior, and then there is a tendency just fulfill their requirements and needs and wants and everything, and child is asking for things and parents are willing to give them everything. So this is how some negative aspect of behavior is nurtured by faulty handling of parents. So that we have to take care, that we have to tell the parents that your no cannot be changed in yes, and your yes cannot be changed in no. If you are disciplining your child, you have to stick to whatever is desired and whatever is good for your child, not because he is asking. And this happens when it comes to mobile usage. नहीं, वो इतना चिड़चिड़ करता है कि हम उसके हाथ में दे ही देते हैं. So sometimes parents, they give up with these kids, and then the behavior problems and everything, the root cause of behavior problems starting in handling of parental counseling. So that we need to, you have to help parents, and you have to guide them, because uh, appreciation at time, then token economy, or maybe reward, or maybe not punishment, but withdrawal of reward also is a one kind of negative reinforcement, we say in technical language. So that we need to make them very clear ki how to respond to child's particular behavior. If child is performing well, he is demonstrating good behavior, desired behavior, you need to appreciate that. And if he's showing some temper tantrums and all, and how to ignore that. What is negative, paying attention, that also should not be there. You should not take any cognizance of child's behavior. So child will naturally understand that this behavior is not accepted by parents, but we need to make them understand this thoroughly. And psychoeducation for handling is very essential part of early intervention in case of autism also, and in case of ADHD also. Set routine and schedules. Again, this is very important, because if everything is changing, for example, in some families, there is no fixed, timetable for having breakfast, where people will eat that on the dining table. Sometimes they will go in balcony, sometimes they will eat in living room, sometimes they will eat in bedroom. So actually, for particular, every behavior has to have some, framework kind of a thing, boundaries kind of a thing. So where child is supposed to sit, where child is supposed to study, where child is supposed to play, and schedules also. So if everything is known, now what is next? If it is known to a child and to a parent, then handling becomes very easy. So that is why set routine and schedules are very important, especially when the child is having attention problem. There should not be distractions. Sometimes guests are coming, then the schedule is disturbed. So actually parents, they have to take care that as far as possible, there should not be any disturbance when it comes to child's routine and schedule for maybe sleeping, eating, or maybe bathing. There should not be much change in that. Activities for short time. We can't expect that the child who is having no problem in attention, and he is very hyper, so we can't expect that child will sit for 10 minutes. I'm talking about toddlers, and he will perform for us. So maybe I can give a break after every 5 minutes or every 8 minutes, and then I can expand the time of activity. But one has to go very gradually. Then allowance for free play and more physical activity. These kids are very hyper. They have lot of energy, and they have to, utilize, use that energy. But we have to utilize that energy in terms of giving them some physical activity like ground activity, or maybe you can go out with these kids for some kind of very easy exercise like climbing, or maybe running on the ground or something like that. And allowance for free play is very important, as guided time and quality time and individualized attention is very important for a child. We have to give them some space for their own free play. We can always say that, "Oh, these are the boundaries, you are not going to do this, but all other things are okay for us." So this is how we can plan, child's activity, play activity like that. Immediate appreciation and rewards. If child is demonstrating good behavior, if we appreciate that, then that behavior gets strengthened. And if we are using rewards like token economy, because small children, they don't understand ki after 1 month of completion of this program, we are going to get you one new toy. They will not understand that. easy and immediate reward is also very necessary. If child is completing that thing in 5 minutes, give him whatever he likes. For example, maybe some laddu or something like that to eat. Again, high sugar and all those things, dietary planning also we have to take in consideration. But I mean to say that reward immediately after performance is very important. Paying positive attention is very important. Play therapy, by informal setup, we can call these kids for play therapy. And during play therapy, we can, train these kids how to follow rules, how to share, how to wait for their turn. We can gradually involve these kids in group therapy, play therapy, but in group this thing manner. So this is how child learns socialization. Even kids with autism also, for having individual therapy, maybe for 4 months or so, then these kids are involved in group therapy so that they learn socialization and communication and interactions with same age children. So this is how we can plan intervention. Avoid loud music, bright lighting, and visiting malls and big crowds. Sometimes what happens now, these malls and all, there is lot of noise, there is big crowd, and children, they hyperactive children will get more excited in such kind of surroundings. So we usually tell them that don't take this child for loud music and some procession, Ganpati procession, or maybe जहाँ बहुत सारे lights है, sounds है, तो as far as possible avoid this kind of exposure. That is another part of this thing. So that's it. And I think it was helpful for our audience to understand primarily what are the early signs of autism and ADHD in the kids who are attending this clinics. Most of the time what happens, though the clinicians are aware of this behavior is not appropriate, but still, because of sometimes because parents and sometimes clinicians also, they say ki, no, we will wait for a while, maybe after 2.5 years he will start speaking. उसका चाचा भी देरी से बोल रहा था तो ये भी देरी से बोलेगा. But what I would like to suggest is early identification of any disorder and early intervention is very, very important when it comes to rehabilitation or when it comes to intervention.